Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, really looking forward to this final session today. We've got 6 brand challenges across the 3 days, 3 down after this session and 3 to go over the next 2 days. But to give you a little bit of an overview of what we do at CoCubed, here's a short video. There we go. Boom. There it is. A little bit of what we do at CoCubed, connecting the world's biggest brands with the world's most innovative startups. Our big belief at CoCubed is that the future exists, it just hasn't been scaled, and there's a huge opportunity for brands to connect. And so that's what we're passionate about doing, and that's exactly what we're about to do here with E.ON. If you're interested in this space, so we track and monitor over 12 million companies. So if you're looking for solutions to specific problems, then we'd love to help you find them and talk to any of the team here at MadFest in the lab coat, and we'll help you navigate that space. The other thing to mention is there's an opportunity for you to meet with startups right here. We've got 34 companies in the House of Innovation, and you can go on speed date with them, let the team know what you're interested in, and we'll do the rest, matchmaking them to fit your needs. So let me give you a bit of an overview of what's going on here, and to help me do that, let's give it up for Scott. So, Scott, you're at E.ON. Tell us a bit about what you do at E.ON.
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for sticking around. Obviously, I've got an interest in the brand challenge, but I think from having done these previously, there's a lot of really interesting content as well. But I know the pub's calling, so thanks so much. Yeah, E.ON, we're an energy company, been around a long time. The story we've got, someone was asking me earlier, what's the challenge for the next 6 months? It's not, it's the challenge of the next 6 years, the next 10 years for us. It's a really classic kind of brand shift story. So we'll be known, and we're famous for being a commodity supplier, so supplying electricity and gas to folks like us, right? Retail stuff. But the growth area we've got is very much in the sustainability space, so solar panels, electric vehicle charging, heat pumps for your house, that kind of thing. And that's true for business as well. But that's a real shift as a brand, right? That's from a commodity market where you have to choose a company into a space where we've got to create desire around our products. So corporately, we've got a good story to tell. Going back about 5, 6, 7 years, I can't quite remember, we sold off fossil fuel power stations. We've still obviously got carbon footprint. We sell gas, but we have a good story around sustainability. We are going through one of the transitions that will help businesses and residential customers do as well. So what we're on the lookout for, companies that can help us not just make our marketing more effective in the traditional sense, i.e. our money going further, but equally with that sustainability footprint. How can you help make sure that the words we're saying are good around sustainability, that my team, we're not adding to a problem through creating more emissions. So it's a bit about make us better marketeers, but let's be really cheesy. Let's make the world better when we do it together. And look, one story, we're not here just for a nice day out, which is a nice day out, but there's real work here. So last year, the winner of our challenge was BidStack. So we've done a bit of work with them, continuing to work, and we'll have some stuff launching with them soon. So, I'm sure there'll be lots of great pitches today. We have to have one winner, but I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff we can pinch and take forward as well. So yeah, delighted to be along.
That's great, Scott. Well, yeah, looking forward to seeing your response to these 5 companies.
Thank you.
We'll jump straight into the pitches now, and our first company, we're going sort of back to like one-to-one engagement. This is a company that has been at MadFest before, and a company that we work closely with. Please give it up for James from Impact.
Hello, everybody. Clicker's not working. Is it? Oh, perfect. Sorry, let me just go back. The screen is still showing some other slides. That one doesn't work? Okay, right, brilliant. Hi, everyone. I'm James, and I work for Impact. We help brands effectively communicate their messaging and build real relationships with their customers to drive sales and increase customer lifetime value. And we do all of this through genuinely handwritten notes that are sent at scale and triggered across the customer journey. So, how can we help E.ON get renewable solutions into as many homes and businesses as possible? We all know it's incredibly difficult out there at the moment. There's increased email trafficking since COVID. You've got the inbox, the other inbox, and the junk mailbox to contend with. CPAs are rising. Paid social is losing effectiveness or just getting too expensive. Trust in brands is at an all-time low, especially in this area with greater awareness around greenwashing. And there's just so much competition. So it's incredibly hard to break through and make sure that your messaging is really being heard. I believe it's around an open rate of 22% for marketing emails. We get a 99% open rate. Sorry about that. We get a 99% open rate. And if you think about it, when was the last time that you had a genuinely handwritten note with a stamp on that came through your letterbox that you didn't open? If you're anything like me, never. You think it's a message from a friend or it's an invitation. There's a big pile of mail that doesn't get open, but if it's handwritten, I certainly will open it. It's a really personalized approach that makes people feel valued, and you want to make your customers feel something. And because someone's taken the time to actually write to you and genuinely handwrite it, they're going to take the time to read it. The good news is we'll do all the heavy lifting for you. We can integrate straight into your CRM system, so all we need is your copy, and then we can look after everything else for you. So how effective is it? Sweaty Betty saw 30% of their recipients go on to make a purchase within 3 weeks of receiving a note. We normally say to track for 3 to 6 months, but it's great to show how quickly it can take things out. Me&M saw a 76% increase in second purchases that led to an 18% increase in revenue. And that was in their first month of their proof of concept. Oliver Brown, who we've been working with for a few years, they turned off their control group because they were so happy with the results. They recently turned it back on just to make sure things were still running as they should. They shared that they saw a 50% increase in transactions, a 200% higher email engagement, 180% increase in direct, a 33% increase in organic, a 14% increase in AOV, and an increase in purchase frequency against their control group. So it really shows that the power of just a simple note. There was no call to action in there, no offer, just a genuinely heartfelt message. And just show really what it can do. And you mentioned that you're looking for ethical marketing opportunities. I'm delighted to say that as a social enterprise, you'll be supporting the lives of the beating heart of Inkpact, our 1,500 strong scribe tribe. It's made up of single parents, grandparents, junior doctors. We work with Macmillan as well, so we have people recovering from illness who aren't able to be in an office environment or work full time, but they want to be doing something, or at the moment need to be doing something to get a bit of extra income. So it really means a huge amount to them and really does change their lives. So if you're looking to join some amazing brands, we would love to help. Thank you.
Well done, James. Strong start. Yeah, Scott, jump up here, and we've got time for 1 or 2 quick questions.
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting thing, that human connection that you get there. It's a really authentic solution. You mentioned about greenwashing. Have you had, or how would you deal with the challenge around, I guess it is authentic, someone's writing it, but it's not from them. So is there a risk that it's seen as a little bit inauthentic at the end of the day?
It can be, but it depends how you sign it off. Obviously, some brands will sign it off from a figurehead, some will just sign it off from a team. We do actually have a few brands who have actually they've signed it off from the team or from the brand, but then they have actually got our scribes to write down their situation. So if it's a single parent, so written by a single parent, written by someone recovering from illness, so you can make it as authentic as you want it to be. But it makes people just stop, read the messaging, and actually take it in without things flashing up at them.
And again, and sorry, this is making me seem really miserable and cynical as a person. It's a really positive thing. I guess you talked about open rates as well. not that we ever would, but how do you choose who you work with in terms of, you've given really positive examples because of the open rates. Again, some of us with slightly more evil minds are sat going, aha, I can game the system here to make someone open something up. So how do you guess you make sure it is being used for positive purposes with such a heartfelt, genuine way of doing it? So I guess, would you block someone from going beyond the thank you note, for example, to try and make a customer do something, if that makes sense?
Sorry, can you repeat that last bit again?
Yeah, so how do you make sure that in terms of how companies are using the handwritten nature of it, the fact that you've got really high open rates, we've got messages that go out that people might not open. So I guess, how do you make sure it's used for positive as opposed to people using the handwritten nature to get someone to open a letter they otherwise would ignore?
Yeah, so everything, we will always check all copy before anything goes live, so we will make sure that it is going in a positive way. There are incidences where we have turned down working with brands because it isn't something that goes with our ethics, especially being a social enterprise. So we want to make sure that it is brands that we want to work with as much as they want to work with us.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool.
Good. Thank
Brilliant.
you. Brilliant.
Well done, James. So we're going to go from the world of handwritten notes to the world of virtual reality. Here with our next company from Takeaway Reality. Please give it up for Mario.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Mario. I am the CEO of Takeaway Reality. It's on the shirt, so probably says it here. So we are a AR, VR, metaverse, and what is really important today, gamification company. So a few years back, we tried to figure out why are so many people, actually around 618 million people as of right now, visiting metaverse spaces every single month. What we found through our journey was there's two main reasons: socialization and gamification. One of them is going to be very heavily featured today. But now I want to turn our attention to E.ON. Really, we want to tell their story. So, as we've heard from Scott before, we have a company here that is absolutely committed to changing the way and tackling an absolutely important issue that affects all of us. But the problem is, climate change is a complex problem. It's not a simple problem that can be brushed off. If we want to reduce the CO2 emissions, there are a variety of really complex trade-offs, such as the population needs to have energy levels. Then that population needs money to create power plants. And on top of all of that, there is time. And time, as the most crucial resource that this experience will be focused on, is running out. So we wanted to take that message of time running out, and we wanted to make sure that it is the centerpiece of the game. It is that phrase, gamified. And as it says here, the first step to solving a complex problem, in our opinion, is education. And again, in our opinion, there is no better education than gamification. So we're proud to present E.ON Island. Now, E.ON Island is a gamified mobile experience, which effectively is a sustainable energy management simulator. So what this means in practice is that you have certain resources, such as CO2 levels, you have money, you have population and energy levels, and you need to create a sustainable grid. The game ends either when your CO2 levels go too far, or when your city runs out of energy. And of course, the crucial aspect of everything here is time. So how do you do that? So you build buildings, which include power plants, they include factories, and they include other general buildings. Now, one really, really cool aspect of this is that you can integrate E.ON very, very organically. You can create E.ON charging stations. You could advertise products that E.ON actually sells, such as heating pumps, by creating a factory that signals to the user, hey, this is what green energy actually means. It subliminally puts E.ON into their minds as that company that reduced my CO2 score in a game which simulates which simulates an actual problem. So for us, it's really important that we're doing something good, we're educating, but we're also making sure that the brand is the main face of that education. And now the final topic is gamification itself. For us, we've done our research. Gamification is an absolutely proven strategy. When we're talking about this specific use case, just mobile games are played by 77% of people in the UK from ages of 16 to 44. And the strategy or resource management games are one of the most popular genres of mobile games. And when it comes to the possibilities that this game can achieve, the sky is absolutely the limit. The game is almost infinitely scalable. We can constantly release iterations and test it out with clients and figure out exactly what works and what doesn't and what people would like to see. Add more products, add more lineups, add more resources to manage. The game is obviously innovative. It's using a concept that we want to promote. It's using actual gamification technologies that are on the cutting edge, and especially in the way that we apply it. And finally, and probably most importantly, the game is super accessible. It can be played by anyone. It doesn't have a language barrier since E.ON is a multinational company. It can be ported onto PC. First it starts off as a mobile game. It could be ported into PC, later into VR, and it could be made accessible in a variety of ways. So thank you very much. I think I should go back. Yeah, here we go.
E.ON Ireland, what do we think about E.ON Ireland? Do you want to ask some questions?
Yeah, again, really impressive. So thank you so much for doing that. I think first question really is, do you think a game from a company such as E.ON would be welcome in that sense? So I guess I would put it as, will we as a brand, and me, I'm worried about at my age as well, will I be at a party and still trying to hang out with young people in a kitchen? That's the worry for us, is we're a serious company doing serious stuff. I guess will we be welcomed into the community in the right way?
That's a great question, is the how do you do fellow kids moment, right? One thing that is really, really awesome about this is people are actually actively looking for games like this, resource management sims, on mobile that are not pay to win. So that are not idle games where you need to wait and pay to win. And E.ON would be the brand to actually provide that. There's not a lot of games which, because all of the games that are independent, they need to make money somehow. And that monetization strategy is usually through idle gaming. So it's usually through a pay to win system. So this game would actually be able to head-to-head compete with the wants and needs of a market that wants to play a resource management sim, but doesn't want to spend money on some coins to have to acquire in order to progress or build more resources.
And again, final question would just be around demographics, I guess. So we do a little bit of stuff with a couple of sponsorships with gaming teams and so on, but the prejudice we still face outside of the marketing team is the minute you talk about games, people think we're talking to younger kids and so on. So I guess, what's your experience now of seeing other brands and the sort of age groups that are getting drawn in?
We literally just created a game for Microsoft to promote Microsoft Defender. It was aimed at middle-aged families, so at family, usually women in families that are around the age of 40. It performed absolutely great. The average engagement rate was 4 minutes 50 seconds on a web link. So the thing is, games, by definition, they are a natural human way. Not even just human. Animals play games, right? So on that perspective, this is why we put in that slide saying, look, from 16 to 44, we are seeing mobile gaming being used and mobile gaming being played. And especially something as a resource management sim, a genre of game that's existed since the 90s. Someone that has played it in their youth now has a bit of spare time, recognizes E.ON as a brand, clicks on it, and is again brought back in a nostalgia way into the time when they, played SimCity in 2002, right?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you, Mario.
Yes, man.
All right, that is 2 down. We've got 3 to go, and our next company looks at end-to-end campaign automation. From Cape, please give it up for Mikkel.
Thanks. So my name is Michiel. I'm the founder of Cape. Let me see. So at Cape we make marketing solutions for both advertisers and agencies to supercharge the creative capabilities any capabilities for media buying. So making sure your campaigns go to any app platform out there, optimizing the campaigns in the app platforms, etc. So very excited to be here and also look together with you at our ideas when it comes to the challenge that E.ON has in making campaigns more relevant, and with that bringing renewables to the attention of customers. And I think to do that we have to first address the most basic question: why would you adopt renewables, right, as a customer? And for that I think we have to answer the questions: why me as a customer? Why now? What's in it for the climate? What's in it for the planet? But also what's in it for me? What's in it for my wallet? And for that you have to make sure that your campaigns are A, more contextual, B, way more relevant, and maybe even almost personal, like a personal consultant out there. Behave as a personal consultant rather than you pushing your message to everyone out there. Think about it this way: if you look today at the weather outside, is today the best weather to launch campaigns about solar energy? Would you really feel, if you saw that message, that you're like, yeah, that's a great idea, there's a lot in it for me? So what if you could integrate your weather data, or not your weather data, the weather data, on location basis into your full campaign setup? And not so much only in the creative part, but also in the optimization part, saying, what if you could say, based upon the location-based weather data, you know which campaign to launch, which creative to push, which campaign to maybe pause or remove altogether. That's what we can do. And secondly, if you take it one step further, then make sure that people actually want it. Don't only say that you can buy solar energy. Make sure that people say, oh, I could have earned whatever amount of money having solar panels on the top of my window. I think that's crucial. The other part is make sure that you make it feel more like a community-like thing. So when it comes to green energy, you probably have a lot of local suppliers that are delivering the green energy. Make sure that it's about them and not about you. So what if you could say, from this farmer, which is there 1 kilometer away from you, you can buy your green energy, and make sure that you see how many spots are left. Create a kind of urgency to call as well. I think that's what really resonates with people. And last but not least, prepare yourself for the future, right? So I think everyone, in theory, listens to different kinds of wording, different kinds of messaging, some images, videos, everything. Different things resonates with different people, right? So what if you could tap into our AI features that allows you to create scripts for any audience, fully AI based? What if immediately images and videos are being created? That we created actually in AI based templates where you upload your font and your color coding, but everything else is AI generated. We push it automatically to any campaign out there. Now that's what we can bring. Now again, we're not a creative platform, we're not a creative agency. We are a SaaS solution builder, and any campaign out there we can deliver. And that's I think what we do. What we make sure is that any campaign that you've ever dreamt of, we can make sure it's being put live. From the creative side, but also from the media side, and also from the publishing side. I think also, apart from E.ON, I think it's also maybe a bit of our responsibility as an advertiser or as marketeers, is that when you think about it, almost every ad that you see, probably 10 you don't see, or maybe 100 you don't see. They're out there, but you don't see them because they do not resonate with you. Think about all the waste in the full cycle. If you talk about carbon footprint, and I think digital marketing, and we forget about it sometimes, but we have a large carbon footprint out there just by the fact that we just push out generic campaigns that are just not relevant. That's it. Thanks.
Loving this idea.
Thanks.
Let's see what Scott says.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for doing that. It was really interesting. I guess, how do you make sure it doesn't go wrong? So the contextualization, the example of the weather. So as an example, I can remember a few years ago, and being Scottish, when, as usual, we hadn't qualified for a major football tournament, but England had. I remember Mars had a promotion running, which was St George's Cross, the England flag on Mars bars.
Yeah.
sold in Glasgow didn't go down very well in that respect. So I guess how do we make sure that whilst we've got all that data, the right ad is showing in the right place?
Yeah. I fully believe that there's a sweet spot in between the AI of the future and the simple one message we push out to everyone where we are today. I think automation and rule-based campaigning is crucial, but I think we should still be there doing the rules, right? I think you need to build in the logic, like weather stuff, and that you need local marketeers to tell you, to the central teams, how to build those rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it at the end as well. I think an area that we're really looking at the moment is that footprint aspect.
Yeah.
So again, part of thinking about where we're looking at the moment is almost not as extreme as this, but is digital right for us?
Yeah.
So I guess how are you looking at the back end there? You rightly said about the digital footprint, that carbon emission beyond that first aspect, whether it's servers, etc.
Yeah.
So for you guys as a business, where are you sort of looking there?
I think you can do it on 2 ways or 3 ways maybe even. So from the core of the way you build your campaigns, and they need to be more relevant. For that you need smarter setups. That's one. I think secondly, you can almost predict already how your ad will perform across various app platforms. App platforms release a lot of data on what kind of things you need to be doing. So before you push the ad live, make sure that it's going to resonate. That's 2. 3. What if you could optimize or see which creative is actually doing something across all of your platforms, and which creative you should completely ignore next time? Yeah. So really, also the learning part is part of it.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Mikkel. In the world of sustainability, there's already a huge amount of content that exists, videos being produced and videos that are trending. How can brands like E.ON use that for their advantage? Well, Camera One has a solution, and from Camera One, please give it up for Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I think this is the right audience. Instead of having a couple of drinks, you care about the planet. So, I would love to actually start with what is the real challenge. And it's not so much climate change, it is actually our behavior. So according to all statistics, most of us believe that actually climate change is happening, that it's real. So why actually there is so minor change in our behavior? Well, that's because for people it's really hard to make a trade-off between short-term benefits and long-term ones. And that's why also it's difficult to sell or provide solutions for the future problems until it's too late. And it is not data and facts which are driving us. People are compelled by stories. That's what makes our emotions work and drives us into the action. And the most relevant stories are those which are happening around us just right now. That's why we at Camera One inform, educate, and entertain people around the world with the authentic stories where we source raw footage from content producers like CBS News, Associated Press, PA Media, and many others. We curate them for local audiences using human touch combined with automation sprinkled with AI, and distribute them across multiple platforms and publishers every day. Our videos have more than 250 million views every day, with a reach to 1 billion consumers across 25 plus countries. And we will use the engagement we create with more than 50 stories a day, including the stories which are relevant to the climate change, to inspire people at the time when they're seeing the relevant content. The content which is about extreme weather, which is threatening the way how our planet will look like in the future, or about how other people are already tackling climate change today. And we will integrate E.ON messaging with those videos, with the relevant stories, to connect with the people and drive them into the action. And to win hearts and minds of the people, to win their rational mind combined with the emotional drive is the way how to drive them into reaction. And not winning hearts and minds just once, but every single day, with every story which is relevant to the climate change. Every day there's a real-world story which is reminding us that the climate change is here today. And every day there is an opportunity to inspire how we can act today. Thank you.
Bringing us home here. Questions for Peter?
Yeah, really interesting way of looking at it. I think when we first started chatting at the start of this session, we talked a little bit about greenwashing, which is super important, I think, credibility. So my question's around how do we stay on the right side of this being ethical? You talk about the fact it's a news platform essentially, and that's how you've grown the business. As a brand, whilst I obviously very firmly believe we've got something to contribute to the debate on climate crisis and good points there, how do we make sure that we're not seen as almost subverting the news and, you know, putting ourselves into a news story in a kind of slightly paid for way? So I guess editorial credibility, how are you going to balance that?
So the way how to balance that is actually make really that line, meaning not to intertwine both. So that means there is a story, which is what's happening in the world, and there is a brand which wants to tell something which is relevant to that story, which I don't think it's only ethical. I think it's very necessary, because at the time when people are hearing that story, which is, for example, about some extreme tornado, they can also hear, oh, you can act now. You can help actually to solve the problem of climate change. So I think it's the other way around. The authenticity is about that you have something to say which is relevant to that story which I've just seen, and I want to now act. I want to do something as a person because I'm now, you know, driven by that particular story.
And so, yeah, really interesting. And I think the other bit around it is, you talk about the reach of through Camera One on other people's platforms. How do we get past copyright? How can we make use of the content on our own channels as well?
Yeah, so the way how it works, so we are licensing the content from our content partners, and then we curating the rating, and it can be distributed across the platforms we already distributed, but also towards your channels. So that's actually part of our solution effectively.
Good, thank you, brilliant, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter. That's our penultimate. We're now on to our last company, and we're looking at videos and display ads. How can you make them more engaging? From Vide, please give it up for Sam.
Hiya. Traditional advertising has a problem. It often relies on predefined creatives with predefined messaging that assumes what the consumer wants to see. This wastes audience time, media spend, and valuable energy. At Vide, we know that no two consumer is the same, which is why we allow the consumer to be the architect of their own in-ad experience with personalized conversations that are relevant to them. This level of personalization delivers huge amounts of interaction, which leads to what we call active attention, an amped up form of attention, which is only measured once the consumer has actively engaged with the brand. So that's in a nutshell what we do, but how would we tackle this brief? Well, you're looking to target homes and businesses which will have very different approaches to sustainability and therefore need very different conversations. With our dynamic personalization tool, we can ensure that the relevant conversation is delivered to the right audience, meaning no impression is wasted. You're also looking to showcase a huge amount of solutions to lots of different audiences, and that's a lot to read up on. Whilst also trying to speed up the adoption of these products, within our format, we're able to still showcase all of the products that you want to see. However, the consumer will only choose the one that is most relevant to them. And this is all happening within one unit. And of course, potential consumers will have loads of questions about these potential solutions, whether that be the cost, the setup, the impact, or how they're going to implement these. Our unit can quickly concise the key information to answer these questions that may be stopping consumers from switching to renewable. You'll also get access to all of our consumer insights, and our consumer insights are really going to help you understand what your consumers are thinking. So whether that be what potential solutions are best for SMEs, or why people are hesitant to install solar panels, with this insight we can quickly optimize the creative to react to what your consumers are saying in real time, and ultimately break down any barriers to purchase within one campaign. But conversational ads are actually more sustainable than your standard ads. And why is this? This is because our formats see up to 15 times longer retention times and brand interaction rates that outperform your standard CTR by 150%, meaning you have to deliver less impressions to reach your goals. When we have a consumer in the moment, we're able to only show them the information that they've requested. We then qualify them through the unit to really understand the exact page that they want to be on, rather than loading up a generic landing page. With this, we save on unnecessary loads, but also consequently, we save energy. Of course, the climate crisis isn't passive, so our response shouldn't be either. With Vide's active attention, we can help E.ON make one day a reality today. Thanks.
Fantastic finish there, Sam. And a nice support from the fan club. Scott.
I was going to say a wholly neutral audience, and that's good one more. No, listen, it's really interesting, and I guess, what experience have you got of working? So one of the worries we have is, it's obviously an important subject to talk about, but not one that, climate crisis is one thing, but then you get to energy. That's another level of barrier we've got to get across in terms of just interest for people. So I guess my worry with this is, looks great. Can we get people interested enough to have that conversation, I guess, through the platform?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we do is, with our creative team, every one of our questions is designed to draw initial users in. So whether that's using like our polling feature, so you click on something and you see how other people have reacted, or maybe it's a quiz, like it's like how much energy can you save. So for us, that first question is what's always going to draw the user in, and we always use information and data from our previous campaigns to inform that first question. And once we have the consumer in the moment, in the creative, we're then moving them through the unit, and we're finding that it's from that first interaction that keeps users within the unit itself.
And that's great for people that go through the whole process. How do we get folks that jump out halfway through? Is there a way back round to take those learnings to, I guess, hunt those people down through a different method?
Yeah, definitely, because you're able to, at every stage, you'll get those insights back. So we'll be able to understand which users are dropping out, and then whether that's you want to serve them with a different ad or a different creative, we can still feed back that information, so we can begin to really segment your whole audience and find out what each of them is interested in, to inform all of your future strategies or any of your other marketing campaigns.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sam. So Scott will be back in just a minute with more details. We'll talk through each of the companies one by one and then announce the winner. But we'll just give Scott a minute to do that, and while he does that, let me just tell you a little bit more about how you can engage with startups here at MadFest. So, like I said before, we've got the speed dating happening right in the House of Innovation. Great way for you to meet with startups, and we'll make sure you don't get stuck in any awkward conversations. We rotate the conversations every 5 minutes. It's a lot of fun. Second thing is, if you've enjoyed this session, this is what we do every day at CoCubed, and about every month through our podcast. We engage a large brand and we invite startups to pitch their solution to that brand. It's all part of There's a Startup for That podcast, so check that out on Spotify as well. And then lastly, this is This is number 3 of 6 brand challenges that are happening across the 3 days. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand challenge from Unilever, looking at Marmite and Wix as well. And then on Thursday, we've got a brand challenge from Taco Bell as well. So lots to look forward to here in the brand innovation stage. But Scott, why don't I invite you back up and let's talk through these companies, and then we'll get you to announce the winner.
Just trying to work out where we fit in amongst all those people in a point of interest. Am I more interesting than Wix?
Yeah.
Discuss.
So we...
I'm not saying that out loud. That's a lovely company.
We started looking at handwritten notes and the solution from Impact. What do you think about Impact?
Yeah, look, it was really interesting aspect. I think the personal nature of it was great. The extra social value is really important as well. I think one of the bits that gets lost in the whole ESG conversation is the S bit of ESG. We do it, we talk about emissions a lot, but we don't think about the people aspect. So that was a bit that really hooked me in on that respect as well.
Okay, cool. And then we had a look at the world of VR and how you can make this more engaging with solutions from Takeaway Reality. What were your thoughts on Takeaway Reality?
Yeah, so again, look, I think I talked. Oh, there you are. Sorry. I think I got it through my questions, right? A lot of my own hang-ups about us as a brand. Can we do more? But a lot of reassurance in the answers. I think a really interesting space, something that we're trying to get into. So I think, look, we're all, doing more gaming. And what I thought was really interesting about it is the amount of many people in the room will be the same. Gamification went through a huge thing of like make a thing into a game, and it was just shit. And I think the relevancy you had there and the talking through was really interesting. So yeah, really good. Thank you.
Yeah, nice work. And then we had a look at Cape and their big idea of, turning around the messaging on this and looking at savings.
Yeah, and I think again it was the context bit. So really short answer on this, just because it worked so well. Making sure that we're hitting people, whether that's the right mood, but equally the right mindset and so on. So helping to add that context was really what I took from that. So that was great.
Yep. And then Camera One, we looked at, they presented their solution for how you can be part of trending videos and put E.ON into that conversation.
Yeah, and again, look, it's, Christ, this is a cliche and a half. We're not pretending we can solve climate crisis on our own. We're not pretending we've got all the answers. We sort of pretended we did that 5-10 years ago. You just come across as lecturing. I think there's a conversation going on. Sat watching the ITV News last night. It was really interesting. Top story was about, heat waves in June. Being part of that conversation is really interesting. And I think, as I mentioned as well, just being on the right side of that news, we're a company that's got a point of view, can help, but we're not perfect. So how do we get into those stories at the right time is really interesting for us to think about.
Cool. And then we finished with Viad. Thoughts on Sam's presentation from Viad?
Yeah, so again, that conversational style, I just talked about it there. As a, look, as an energy company, that's sort of one strike. As a big British company, that's two. As a big multinational, with a certain appearance and a certain being, we have to be a certain corporate way. We are that big a company. But what we can't be through any of this stuff is that kind of lecturing parent approach. So again, the conversational nature of the solution was really interesting. And again, not everything's right for everyone. There isn't, for some people it's solar panels is the right thing. For loads of people it's just insulate your house better. If you leave away with anything today, just insulate your house better. But the fancier solutions that come on are really important. So that conversational nature is super, super important. So it's great.
Very cool. But Scott, there can only be one winner. So the winner is, drum roll.
So just to ruin the tension,
here
sorry,
we
just
go.
to do the thing. I think, look, sorry.
No.
I think, but super quickly, I think what was really interesting about the mix that you guys brought for us today, and genuinely want to have a conversation with everyone that was on stage, there's actually a campaign flow. So the way that you put them together is really, really good. But I think because of that human element, it'd be Impact, I think, are the ones we choose today. So
amazing. Well done, James. Fantastic. Well done, James. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate and appreciate all the startups getting involved in this. I know there's a huge amount of work, and we'll of course make those introductions right after this. So thank you all for being part of the Brand Innovation Challenge today. We'll be back tomorrow with more, but right now it's time to hand back to Mark to wrap things up.
Thank you, Jeremy.